who is also pretty funny, but he basically wrote this algorithm where he can get $1,000 worth of calamari for $100 if he continues winning at this one game.
Wow.
So like he wrote to the point where like it caught word and Dave and Buster's had to get rid of the game.
No
Because he
way.
exploited.
Wow.
Win calamari if you.
Well, no, you just win a bunch of tickets.
Oh,
and a
right.
bunch of, it's like those Dave
You
and Buster.
win calamari.
Dave and Buster tickets are like that was the original NFT. Like or Bitcoin before anything. These tokens, where you can get a guitar, you can get so much shit there. But like he thought it'd be really funny to get like $1,000 worth of $1,000 worth of calamari for $100 and have a bunch of his friends eat there.
That's genius.
He wrote the whole algorithm. So
Is that us now?
Yeah.
it's us right now.
Are we live?
We are live because it looks really choppy on
The internet.
I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi.
I'm on the.
Lucas says, yeah, it's chippy. Tony.
We're going through some troubleshooting.
Yeah, all four legs up.
What?
It's not looking good.
Oh, he's a big dump. Wait, what does he have in his mouth? Oh, he has his bone. Dude, he could jump on a 4-foot high bed.
Can he?
He could. I saw it happen recently.
Yeah, but can he drive?
Yeah.
He's all his feet come up.
Dude, if only.
If only
That
you
would
can-
change
Can
lives,
he talk?
honestly.
Can he perform? Can he write? Do you mix? Do you master?
He can definitely perform. I'll give him that.
Just get really jealous of the dog. That's honestly the only time I've ever been jealous in a relationship or anything like that was about my own dog.
Really?
Yeah, I dated this girl for almost 3 years, and I swear to God, every time we went out, she would get pissed drunk and just she'd be like, I wonder what he's doing right now. Like he's so special.
Who
like
is
he,
this?
Claire. Claire would literally talk so much about this dog to the point where I started to get jealous. I'm like, wow, like I don't even hear
exist.
a quarter of this. To the point where it's funny, we got in a fight at a very strange time. We got in a fight at this one party. We got in a fight at this party in which like their friends thought we were fighting about different things. They thought we were fighting because I was like staring off at this one girl, which I just wasn't. I was just bored zoning out. And they thought I was fighting. They thought I was fighting with her is because there was one fool in there that had like the craziest bulge. Like it's unfortunate. Like he just can't wear pants.
Oh.
I know.
And
That's
it's just no. It wasn't even tight pants or anything. And it's just like oh man, that's just like I feel bad. Like that's not fun at all. So they thought it was like that. At the end of the day, it's like dude, you gotta stop crying about my dog. Like this is insane. He's at home. He's sleeping. He's fine.
Wow.
Like we don't.
She just became obsessed.
Yeah, she became obsessed.
Wow.
And
Whenever she would get drunk, she'd get obsessed by your dog. I mean, there
Dude.
could be worse things she could get obsessed
Oh,
about.
I know.
Yeah.
No, of course, and it was really funny. Last time I heard from her is when that dog passed away.
Bloody hell, mate. That's.
That was the last time I heard
Jesus.
from her. She was just like, "Hey, how you doing?"
And as a surprise for the
Send me
podcast,
videos.
please.
Yeah. Talking about bulges and
Bulges.
dogs, and this is what you get.
I prefer this one.
Yeah. Have you guys ever been envious about something irrational?
Are we live? No.
I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah.
If you guys just keep going.
Yeah.
Cool. Have I ever been what? By something
Like,
irrational?
have you ever
Like
been
that, about the dog,
envious
you know,
or
like-
upset of something irrational, like
That's-
kind of what I went
yeah,
through
yeah,
with
yeah.
the dog?
I feel like most fears are irrational. How about that?
That's so corny. That's the corniest. No, for real. Like, all right, I like asking irrational questions. Like, for example, if you had a ton of money, like a stupid amount of money,
Yeah.
what would be the most irrational thing you would purchase? That just doesn't make
doesn't make
sense
any
or
sense,
whatever. It's not like buying a house or a car or like whatever. Like, for example, my version of that was my friend's a harpist. I would pay her on retainer to wake me up and put me to bed playing the harp every day.
No weekends.
Well, I'd probably take weekends out. Probably, I can't. I don't think I'm that rich. Like I think I could only do Monday through Friday.
Yeah, fuck you, money. I mean, and all she has to do. Because here's the problem. though.
60K.
You go to bed. Snoop Dogg has a blunt roller. He pays $50 grand a year.
That's what I'm saying.
No
60K
way.
harp player morning. Morning.
Morning.
bedtime.
Why doesn't he just buy pre-rolls?
There's something magical about like having your blunt rolled for you.
But
Yes.
that being said, what's an irrational thing you guys would
do?
do?
Bloody hell. Oh my god, that's a really good one. That's tough to beat, Jeff. You've really gone in hot.
You have actually. I'd have someone make me some wine every day.
Pour you a wine?
No, from grapes. Make me some.
So you'd have your own vineyard, your own
Yeah, I'd have a vineyard and some people working.
people working.
You'd
Like
be,
stomping your grapes with their feet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Professional.
Yeah.
Can I choose the feet? Sorry.
It's not
yeah.
the work with it
no,
needs
it's
to
like-
age and stuff.
Yeah.
Can't be waiting all the time.
How do you think someone gets that type of job? Is it that they have big feet, or that they're heavier? Like
Well, they
what's
have nice feet.
yeah? What's the
I
Well,
think
yeah.
it's the toe, it's the width between the toes.
Yeah.
So if they're more spread apart, it's better. So
Well, I've heard that.
Really?
Yeah, Ocean Spray. When you go and all go for that job, they put like little cranberries between your toes. If that's the job interview. You've got 7 cranberries between your toes.
Well, what are you gonna think? I'm trying to think of something good. Mine was awful.
No, I would.
no? That's fine.
That's really good, mate.
there are no right or
There's
wrong.
some-
Something to do with sports, like a full multi-complex sports thing. In
Would
the-
you try
in
to
the
make
household.
handball a professional sport,
Oh right, we're going that extreme.
or is
Oh,
it something
that's
like
good.
that? Or would you purchase your own soccer team or like whatever?
Well, that's what's
Obviously,
happened
that's like a fun
recently
thing.
with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Wrexham.
Yeah, they bought
Yeah.
Wrexham and then sold the rights to the documentary to Disney.
It was him and that guy from It's Always Sunny.
yeah, Rob
Charlie?
McAnally.
Rob, yeah.
Oh, nice.
But they went and bought Wrexham, which is a really working class, not a very nice area, and the economy, the local economy has gone boom. Like people from all over the world are buying merch for this club, and they're being promoted and promoted.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's one of those questions. What should we do? We've got like all this tax money. Where are we going to stick it?
Oh yeah, for sure. No,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Honestly, I think it's so funny that like 2 really hot men
Yeah.
put that together.
Yeah.
Did you hear the story about Rob on like his thought process of going into the next season of It's Always Sunny? He thought it was really strange. Like he understood why, but once a successful show continues on, all the actors just look better.
Yeah.
So his theory was, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we all just got fat and looked like shit? And he pitched it to everyone, and they all declined. He's like, well, I'm gonna do it. So
Yeah,
that's like
yeah.
why he gained all that weight.
And it wasn't even written in the script, or there was just like a few things
No.
here and there.
And then he thought it'd be even funnier if he got super ripped afterwards.
Oh my god.
And did that whole process, and like I can't imagine the type of damage he's done
he
to
was
his
committed to the bit.
body with the bit.
That's real method acting.
Yeah, yeah.
That's art, isn't it?
That being said, like with this new album, you know, I kind of get the sense the bit is just being this like Backstreet Boy and Sync pop bands and bringing that whole vibe back. Like what was the thought process of like kind of channeling that in? Did you watch documentaries? Did you like
Yeah.
hit
I
up
mean,
Benny Blanco?
yeah, I did, yeah, man. No, the first the initial period for that, I guess, was we were obviously in a lockdown, and I think it was just yearning for this. Obviously, everyone kind of wanted escapism, and ours was like, what's the most sugary escapism we could hone into, and like the sincerity of the lyrics back in like the early 2000s, and they were
We
just.
grew up listening to all that as well.
Of course, yeah,
Huge
yeah.
fans.
And I feel like everyone's kind of just too self-aware now to do that and be that, when we all know Beyonce does poos and everyone's just human and there's no real, I don't want to say like superstar, right? It's just hard, it makes it a lot harder to hide. So for us it was like, let's play these roles and let the music kind of carry that through them, from like the colour palette to everything was just very much stolen from the early 2000s, late 90s, and yeah, it's been
But that's just art. I don't think any art's truly stolen. Obviously, it's just replicated in some kind
Yeah,
of
of
way, but
course.
you're adding your own personal touch to it.
Mm.
When I guess like what classifies of something being stolen versus something being more original. You know, like
Yeah.
because everything just replicates itself. Like
course,
the
yeah.
theory is like we're 10 years behind.
Right.
You know, like all this like the fact that like emo or like Turnstile is a huge hit. It reminds me of like 10 years ago when I was listening to AFI.
Yeah.
Their transition into kind of a more mainstream act.
Mhm.
So like, you know, that being said, like what makes you more what helps make an artist more original and fit into these lanes even though everything's kind of been done?
Oh, if we knew that. Well, for us, for us, it was about being authentic, or being authentic to that idea, if that makes sense. For us, it was about how, if Push Baby were around in that time, how would they have sounded?
Mm-hmm.
But for us, it's. I guess we just reference. We're open. We're totally open with what we steal.
Oh yeah.
Open. Like if someone goes, "That's that," and we're like, "Oh, yeah, no, that is that." I guess there is a line where it's like, is it just stealing for the sake of, like, there's some that are just so obvious, and I don't know, man. It feels like an existential. There's not like one straight answer, you know.
No, of course, but at the same time, I like what you said. You know, it's like it's totally okay to like kind of pay homage to your heroes and like kind of take sounds from it. One of my favorite stories is when the Strokes went up to Tom Petty and they were like, "Hey, like we just straight up jacked one of your songs." And you know, it's not like at that time, not a lot of artists were channeling Petty.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why when I listen to you guys, what makes you more kind of genuine is that you're doing something not a lot of, honestly, male artists are doing.
Right.
While they're copying, like, you know, the NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys to a T. You know, everyone's just like making pop, but like they're not. You know, they're making pop of like their like what's currently happening rather than paying homage to like what's actually what made them them.
Yeah, interesting.
So,
yeah. And it also kind of comes from a place of like my sister who's 21 years old. I played her like the Justified album for like the first time, and now that I'm like a 30-year-old man listening to it, you know, hopefully with this self-awareness and this whatever, it's like looking back now, it just actually took me to when I was, because the thing is, everyone at school was very cool and they were listening to like emo music, whatever, but I was just this white privileged kid who just had like everything, and my taste, you know, I wasn't screaming at my mum or like fuck yeah, like against the system. I fucking was the system, like it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just used to listen to top 40 and just like lived for it, and growing up I would then shy away from it, like I'd swap out the CDs for like a whatever. But I was listening to Spice Girls, and I was listening to artists like McFly and Busted, like these early pop.
McFly, oh my goodness, yes.
We just supported them. They were like the only. We made like a whole point of like, let's try and be selective of who we support and let's whatever. And then McFly came in like, when do we do it? Like, we're losing money. It's all good. Like,
Well, sometimes you have to just do things because you want to. Do
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, for going back to that, I've always been really scared to admit that I love High School Musical 1, 2, and 3.
Oh wow, the trilogy.
Yeah, and like
That's the trilogy.
that's the trilogy. Yeah.
The Precious, you know.
But
Like,
I've always been like phobic to admit that, because they call them guilty pleasures, and I'm not sure why. Because surely it's about escapism, right?
yeah.
Why does it have to be that deep? And for us, this felt like a really, really the most shallowest, deepest record ever.
Yeah.
We were aiming to be like, let's get people to try and just not even think about the lyrics. Let them dance, like, that was
It's
the
more
thing.
of a feeling than it is like
Yeah.
trying to dissect the lyrics.
I
and
want to
stuff.
say something here. No,
Right.
all I do actually want to say is every time I think about you, baby, I hate it, you blow my mind. That's all I want to say. And I want to keep repeating it.
Right.
And it's been interesting because I do think there's a fine line between being incredibly cringe and cheesy, and we wanted to kind of just dance on that line. It started off as being ironic, and then it kind of came back at us and flew over our heads, and then kind of flew over everyone else's, which is interesting. Like because we did like major label pop music,
Right.
we had kind of attracted major label people who want to keep repeating that. Hey, this is amazing. Let's keep repeating that for us. It was like, no, this is just an era.
Yeah.
Like this is just a
But
moment.
funny that you do that and those are the kind of people
Yeah.
that show up.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, actually, where you going? We'll just keep doing it.
We actually have a comment here in the chat. Someone known as MJ says, ironic, Makeout was one of the first songs I heard Jake sing, and now they're rebranded and on Makeout Music. Oh, how we've come full
There you
circle.
go.
What is that song, Makeout?
So there was a song written by Benny Blanco and Mike Posner, and the whole premise was, if I can live forever then, I don't know what I'd do, forgot what just I meant to say, but I'm still in love with you. The future sounds boring without the one you love, so while we're here and now, can we have some fun? Let's make out, doo-doo. And it was, do you remember Wallpaper?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
dude.
It was
Oh my
that
God.
kind of, that's, he wrote it.
Not heard, really?
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
not
yeah.
heard that
Wait,
name in a
Wallpaper,
second.
Isn't that Ricky Reed?
That is
Yeah,
Ricky Reed,
yeah,
yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Well, yeah, that is the Ricky
Yeah,
Reed,
that's that Ricky
I didn't
Reed.
realize Wallpaper was
Yeah.
Ricky Reed.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy. I remember I saw Wallpaper play the Troubadour to like maybe 40 people, and K-Fly also opened up, which is really
I did
cool.
a show with him in college where he was one of the, I think he was one of the openers. I can't remember what it was, but I just remember being like, I don't know what I'm watching right now.
Right.
It was very strange.
Yeah.
And then years later, he was like,
Yeah,
Ricky Reed.
years later I'm in the studio going, so that was yeah, they just wanted to release a viral video. It was Scooter Braun's idea. He was like, you dress up as Miley Cyrus on the Wrecking Ball, because this was around the time of whatever.
oh yeah, yeah.
You dress up as been
Of Lady
thick for
Gaga.
blurred lines.
Oh,
Yeah, that's tough.
Christ.
That one aged well.
And honestly, if you go and look at the video now, we're cancelled. Like, we're cancelled. That video should not be online. It's like, cancel us. We're done.
Yeah, gone.
We're done.
That's-
Because like we're like grabbing girls' faces and like
Right.
jumping on them and like making out and rolling over. And looking back now, I remember at the time being like the whole production team be like, yeah, we're just gonna shoot, just grab girls and just grab their faces. That's what
Yeah,
I mean,
I know,
mate.
mate.
And now it
Yes.
lives on the internet. And if that was to like come out and people like, this is sick, like we'd be fucked. But it's like, no, we
You
were
did just
fucking.
tell the internet that it existed.
Of course, but we were 19. I was 19. You know,
Right,
what I mean? You don't
right.
know what you're fucking.
Do you think that you can have, like, there is a redemption arc for people who may have fucked up in the past? Like, what is that? How long?
I've never.
Not that it's happened.
Of
to you,
course,
like,
but as in, if they've done something wrong, like being
Yeah.
cancelled. I've never been a victim of anything,
Right.
so it's hard. I don't have like emotions to it. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but for me, I believe in the power of forgiveness and empathy.
Right.
And,
right. Well, because I guess there's always extremes, right? 'Cause
Of
you
course.
got
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
Kanye right now, kind of going
Yeah.
wild
Mhm.
with his stuff, and then you have people who like, what was it, David Bowie, who like slept with kids.
Yeah.
We kind of.
But there is life on Mars.
yeah.
No, it's just, and that's like the whole thing too. And like I saw someone posted this article today about how like the guy interviewing Kanye just like totally took advantage of like the situation, rather being
The-
against
which
and
one?
having like being
On Fox?
the most recent one.
The one on Fox.
I think so. The one that was like extremely cringeworthy that everyone was talking about.
They're all pretty cringe.
No, but there was one more recent.
Yeah,
where
there was. It was one of
there's
Piers
one-
Morgan.
Oh, it could be
Was it that
Piers
one?
Morgan.
Maybe it was, but basically, you know, it's these guys who are interviewing him, taking advantage, and not actually like getting a thorough question, figuring out why, but exploiting his craziness to the point where it's, you know, to the point where it's like it's a positive. It's like, no, we shouldn't be talking. We should understand why you're like this, as a, you know, why you're like this and what you're going through, rather than trying to get numbers up. Like, there's this one guy who interviewed him who's just like, oh man, the numbers on this are going to skyrocket because they're, you know, they're not saying they're against, they're saying they're pro for it just because to get a rise out of
Yeah.
people.
Oh, I think that was the Sean
Yes.
Sean
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it
yeah,
Sean
yeah.
Hannity or Tucker Carlson. It was one of those.
No,
two
no,
guys.
it was the first one.
Oh, handy.
But,
I think it's so incredibly complex that you know, I mean, I guess we all are, but I'm a huge Kanye fan. Yeah.
No,
I don't know,
well, that's a
weird.
well, but that's
It's a whole separate podcast, isn't it? Trying to dissect
No,
what's
well,
going on.
it's fun too though, because it's like with him in particular, you know.
He definitely stays top of mind.
Well, his
Yeah.
whole thing is don't believe in the media,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, of course.
he's the media now, and like his not a lot of people know his icon is Andy Kaufman.
Oh yeah.
One of
yeah.
his biggest influences is Andy Kaufman.
who meddled with all that idea
Yeah.
of identity. and-
Exactly. So
But is he that smart to do that?
I mean, it's hard to
He-
tell now.
Yeah, it's hard to
Like,
It
is he
is.
he's so committed to
well,
the
no,
bit that like,
no, and that's the thing. It's like it's
Yeah.
as a fan, you know, who's defended him so much. It's like enough is enough at this
Yeah,
point. It's
yeah.
like it's like to the point where it's like, are you doing this because you don't want anyone to pay attention to you anymore?
Mhm.
At this point, like you're truly dragging everyone, the thing you built, to the ground.
Yeah, that's that's how I feel as a fan. I'm just like, I'm just going to kind of like ignore that because it's sad to watch
Yeah.
it
Right.
unfold. Because you just can't. How
Or
do you defend it?
Right,
Like
well, yeah.
how can you
Or the
defend
other,
it?
the other way to look at it is like this is all completely planned out, and he's like,
Well, this is the other thing.
Yeah, but I think being that I mean, again, I don't know. I think to make over $1 billion anyway, you need to be a psychopath.
Okay.
Every person I know that's got over
Every person.
30 million, which
Oh,
is like or whoever every
Yeah.
person. I am the system.
how many 30 plus?
Yes.
people?
Yeah, sorry.
Can
I start that again?
Also, if you guys are just jumping in, I'm Jeff Bywater. This is Tim Chin of Make Out Music.
Hello.
We're
Right.
with
I'm with
Baby.
Jake the
Charlie
Millionaire.
of Push
Jake
Baby.
Jake
We
the
didn't do a
Millionaire.
proper introduction because we
We
kind of
just-
just jumped into
yeah.
it.
Can I smoke my
Um,
vape pen here?
Say hi to Charlotte. She's tuning in.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hey, Charlotte.
And someone. Oh, she's hello from Disneyland.
Hello from Disneyland.
Hi, Minnie.
Hey.
Hello, Minnie.
Straight Goofy. Tell Goofy I say what up. Honestly, one of my
not
first
Homer.
crushes ever.
Was Goofy?
No. my first my first crush ever was the Goofy movie, the girl in the Goofy
I've
movie.
never seen it.
Oh, it's a good film.
Oh,
man.
I'm good
my
at
God.
now.
That was like I
Oh,
remember
that
as a
ending-
kid I was like,
that
whoever
ending
this
scene
lady is, whoa.
Isn't she like she's a mouse? She's.
I don't know what she is. But what are some? What's your earliest crush
Daisy Duck.
today?
No,
Is Daisy Duck?
No.
Mine was actually the girl from Roger Rabbit, right? That cartoon.
Oh,
Jessica
Jessica
Rabbit.
Rabbit.
Growing
Yeah.
up seeing that guy.
Yeah.
Or who's that girl? Who's that?
It's so hypersexualized, man.
Oh, and Topanga from Boy Meets World.
It's funny. I was no, of course. I was about to bring up how like it's funny when you talk to most men's like early crushes, they're always a cartoon character.
Yeah, of course. I definitely went through a Marge Simpson period. Definitely, big time.
Wait, who's the Space Jam?
Oh,
Lola Bunny?
Lola Bunny.
Michael
That's
Jordan.
Jack,
Michael
who's
Jordan.
chimed in. Lola Bunny, yes. But I think it's so funny that most of the time, guys, it's not for girls. It's
Mhm.
these boy bands like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That being said,
The thought of being anyone's crush right now with this belly full of spicy food in my stomach, I'm about to shit my pants any second. The thought of being anyone's crush, I'm so sorry.
what was?
Your hero shit too.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, well, I
It's
guess-
not
I
as
guess-
explosive.
What is some crazy experience you've had with kind of like a die-hard fan? Like it's great. It's funny. All right, they just performed a show here this past weekend, in which we had probably about 60 people waiting for them to come out. In which a majority of them have flown out to different places of the United States, from Florida to Wisconsin. I think I heard Alabama.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
which is we've never experienced anything like that, but I'm sure you have quite a bit to the point where like that to me that's like awesome. That's like
right.
crazy awesome. But like what's like kind of a crazier experience where like, oh my god, like what is going on here?
What's that line?
Yes,
is
what's
that
the
line?
line?
What's that line
Yeah,
of
what's
like
the
if
line?
someone crosses you going, hang on, you're not a fan anymore. This is getting a little bit weird.
I don't.
We've not had any. I don't honestly know if we've had any proper like weird.
We've had the
encounters.
things. We've had
That's
like
good.
when we
That's
first
amazing.
Yeah,
first
we've had
started
that.
out. There was obviously like people camping outside the hotel and things like that.
Oh wow.
But that's just like
it's fandom.
yeah, that's I guess that's
Because we
and that's
were-
encouraged
We'd
by the
always
way
go
by
out
the
and say,
majors.
like, yeah, of course.
That's all encouraged by the
Right,
record
of
labels,
course.
and they're all. We would like land and it'd be like 40 kids at the airport,
Right.
and we'd be like, how did they know we were here?
Because the
And-
street team was telling them, hey, they're gonna be.
They're going to be here
yeah,
to
yeah.
create a bit of a so it's but there's never been that line crossed.
No,
never.
there really
No.
hasn't
And
actually.
we're very personable with
Yeah,
our pals.
they feel like pals actually.
Yeah, they do
I feel like we talk to a lot of people enough now to like.
And I also
Friendly
think because
and friendly.
it was the first time, we only played one show in LA,
Mhm.
so I think because we are from overseas, I think people were like, well, this is the only time I could potentially see them
Right.
on this land of the free.
Right.
Although saying that, American fans flew over from America to see us in
London,
London
yeah.
and Manchester.
Right.
Yeah, actually, I think there were like 3 girls. The first
Yeah.
3 girls
First
here,
three
they
girls. Yeah,
flew
yeah.
to go see you guys, and
Yeah.
I think it was in Manchester.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, what we did the other night has totally changed the trajectory of who we are as artists. Really, we at the end of the show, we self-funded this show to get out here to try and do all the esters and the paperwork, all of that stuff. And we came out here and we're obviously tired, but we're incredibly grateful and lovely to be here, and it's just absolutely amazing. But we're kind of professionally stuck in a bit of a limbo right now of like,
Mm.
we know what we want to do creatively, but how do we make that work on zero budget? Like, what do we do? So it's not a case of like, oh, let's wait and just wait until someone comes. Like, no, just fucking get on with it and see what lands
Yeah.
on whatever. But we were chatting to some lovely guys after the show, and they'd flown in and they were with their friends and they brought their girlfriends, and he just like came up and was just like named like the most obscure song of ours, and was just like, it's just changed my life, and had it like tattooed on him and shit. And for us,
Oh wow.
that was like, okay, we do it for that one
Right.
person.
Right. Yeah.
Or whoever that is, because for us, it has always, we were saying in the car, but it has always been about numbers. The whole thing has always been about how do we get to radio, how do we get the program director to like it, and now we've had to unlearn of like, no, first of all make it for yourself, but if you do that, you might influence and inspire someone.
Mm.
And seeing that person tell you that face to face was just like really, I like cried all day
we kinda
yesterday.
needed. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
nice.
like it was just like so, felt like something clicked
Yeah.
of like, that's why I do it.
Mhm.
That's why I do it. But you do get kind of dragged into this
Of course.
this
I mean,
world of
the business side is always going to be a little
Yeah.
bit more like soulless.
Mhm.
I mean, you hope at one point you can bridge that gap between like doing that and also looking at the numbers and being happy with all
Yeah.
that stuff.
But all the amazing artists that I've listened to or spoken to or what have you, they've all kind of said, I've never looked at the numbers and I don't look at the numbers. Now, either someone's lying,
Yeah.
but I do believe it. I do believe it
Yeah.
because you can kind of tell in their music in a
Right.
weird.
I mean, I think there are some people that like obsess over numbers, right? And like,
that's where I was for a hot second,
right,
big time.
right. But I think I don't necessarily know if like everyone's gonna be like, I never look at the numbers, because every now and then they'll be like, okay, what did that song do? It's been a month out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Sorry, I just laughed because I think artists that don't really care about the numbers continue to work with Jack Antonoff.
Oh, really?
Artists that continue to don't care about the numbers, Jack Antonoff's gonna work on it.
You're not a fan, are you?
The man just falls up. Like
Really?
it doesn't make any sense. Production wise, we get it. You love The Boss. You're from New Jersey. We understand the production choices in like the 80s and whatnot. But at the same time, it's like nothing really inspiring. That's like where paying homage to your heroes kind of falls flat, is when you're kind of like, literally like that Lorde track that sounds like a George Michael song, that like first single. Like I couldn't even believe that was like that actually came out. I was like, this is literally just freedom.
So here's an interesting point though, is that
Yeah.
like I have a memory attached to that song of having my roof down and like blasting it to the point of it created this like a vignette thing of a moment in my life.
Yeah.
It's impossible to review music. Impossible. It's impossible. Because how? Because if you say, well, it's this and it's that, and going, well, that was the first song that I danced to, and that meant, like, I always feel like, I always talk about this with Anthony Fantano. You know, like,
Yeah.
everyone, obviously. Is that a bit of a cliche thing to say, to talk about Anthony? No, so I went through a period of really loving his stuff and whatever. And he reviews music amazingly. His IQ, like his knowledge.
How he breaks things down is for music nerds, like it's
and you
great.
guys are up there for being some of the biggest music nerds I've ever had the honour of knowing, and it's amazing. Because you say artists sometimes, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love that record. In the back of my head, going, never heard of it.
No.
Never heard of it. No fucking idea who Rick is. But how do you review it? Like,
Well,
it's
you review the review is like, to me, it's obviously paying homage where you can hear it, but at the same time it's homage to an area that either has never really been used all that much before, or it's been used in a completely different way. So like when I listen, what really gets me kind of going is, like, for example, when I was listening to your record, which is out now.
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's out.
It's out.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
At
it's at
midnight.
well, what time is it? It's out an hour.
In half
Here.
an hour.
In half an hour.
Half an hour will be out in the States.
Why is it 11:30?
No, it's not. It's 9 o'clock.
9
Oh.
o'clock.
Be midnight on the East Coast.
So
is that how it works?
Yeah. So it's out
Oh,
at
shit.
it's out in half an hour.
Oh.
When listening to you guys, you guys are in this lane that not a lot of people are trying to do, and trying to, it's just refreshing, and that's like what makes it so interesting. And when you hear tracks that obviously Jack works on, he's a great producer. Like honestly, that like the record, that fun record that has a song "Be Calm" on it. What is it, like fresh and release?
I don't know. I don't listen to
It's a yellow. It's really good. Well, fun's amazing.
I
The early
think
fun stuff is really
early fun
good.
stuff is great.
I agree.
But I haven't listened to much.
But
Sorry.
Dude, you got it.
Didn't he have a thing called like Red?
What?
Red. He had a trio, right?
Well, there's a band called The Format. There's The Format, which had the singer, and they met. Well, Jack was in another band. I forgot what they were called, but they met on tour with The Format, and they like hit it off, and they made fun.
Red
And-
Hearse.
I think you're right.
I don't know.
It was a trio that used to sit around with like analog stuff and made like the sickest pop, and they only
Okay.
released one album.
I think you're right. But yeah, basically, what makes him, the reason why people aren't excited about him is like he's taking these artists who've kind of broke these, like the St. Vincent stuff. Like when St. Vincent came out, it was in your face, like it was bombastic, it was loud, and she could shred, and it brought this whole new genre in to like alternative folk music in the beginning, where not a lot of people were used to it. And it's like, oh, that's exciting. And then you get this producer who also is great, but at the same time, he's just playing incredibly safe. But at the same time, he must be fun to work with in the sense that these artists are making sounds that they grew up to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're not really taking it to the next step, where it's like, like I've heard these songs so many times now. Like I don't want St. Vincent to be singing a Taylor Swift type.
Right. You want to see these artists evolve and change.
Exactly.
I will say, Stop Making This Hurt by the Bleachers is one of the best
Yeah.
One Direction songs they never had.
Absolutely.
And do you know what I mean by that though? It was just amazing. That's a really good pop song.
No, of course, and it's always, and I love hearing when other artists, like for example, Glaive. There's this artist named Glaive who performed here one time, which he wasn't even on the bill. He just came to our show, and he looked at us. He was like, "Can I go on?" And he just sold out. Like I think the Fonda, which is like a 2,000 cap, 3,000 cap venue, and he came to the show that had like 80 people, and he looked at us and he's like, "Can I go on?"
Wow.
And we were like,
That was the Ryan Lehan show.
"Yeah."
right?
We're like, "Sure,
Yeah, we're like,
go on."
If Ryan says it's
If
okay,
Ryan says
then
it's cool,
sure,
it's like,
jump
wow.
on.
That's going to be us tomorrow, but going,
So,
can we go?
yeah. Honestly, please, honestly, you guys could do that. We'd be like,
Can we go lie down?
Sure. But yeah, he has a really good One Direction song that honestly should probably get more love than it should. But
Hey,
like once again,
oh.
he's like a hyper pop like you would never really think about so much. Like the genres are just so different. But at the same time, when you really listen to it, it's like yeah, that is a One Direction track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think back to what we were talking about, how like just artists like not caring about the numbers and all that stuff, like that's just a mentality that needs to be had because, you know,
Well, if you let the numbers like decide your decision making behavior, it's probably not going to feel very genuine to people that care about your music.
and as we who book shows, like one of our best shows ever was a band who had no numbers. They had 4,000 monthly listeners. They had nothing on Apple or iTunes. And we did them as a favor when we first came back out of pandemic because we had a show with them prior when they were in college and the headliner had dropped out. So when they hit us up being like, hey, we're coming back, we want to perform at the spot, we kind of gave them a homie deal. We were like, all right, you guys be in charge of ticketing, like, you know, we just want to pay it right from the previous time. And this band that has 4,000 monthly listeners sold 220 tickets
Wow.
That's crazy.
at a space that had not a home location show.
Right.
And there was a line just out the door, and I was just so puzzled because, you know, as someone who's been in, you know, who's in music, like, and who's been at a major label, you look at these numbers thinking this means everything for the most part, or you kind of get lost that it means everything. And so I asked everyone online, and I was just trying to figure out like where they're listening to this music, and they're like Bandcamp and YouTube.
Wow.
And people forget that YouTube is the most streamed site out of all the sites. And it's just like, wow, there's like this whole other world outside of Spotify
Mm-hmm.
and iTunes and all of that. And just like really like, and that just like goes back to the point where like these numbers don't really count. They're just badass musicians who make really good fucking music.
Yeah. Enough about us.
So
We actually have another question in chat
That's
here.
so interesting. YouTube and Bandcamp. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think you
crazy.
just have
We
to like.
used Bandcamp actually, didn't we? A lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you expand what your idea is for like what we should be looking at. Hey, come on.
hold on.
Tony.
That's Antonio Banderas, everyone who's paying attention.
We have another question in the chat.
He's been licking my knee.
I'm curious, back in the day, you guys would kill every cover on YouTube. If you had to choose one more modern song to perform and upload, what would it be? Also, you guys need to do another Christmas song I can listen to. Have yourself a merry little Christmas without imagining the iconic video.
Wow. Not had that in a long time. What would we cover
Does
now?
that bring up some memories for you?
Yes.
One of
It
those.
actually does though.
No. What, like an old song that we used to perform? Is that what, or like a cover?
No, what cover would we do now as like,
Oh, no, not
you know. What would we do now?
I don't listen.
Rixton.
Brixton. Yeah.
Cover one of your own songs. Yeah, hell yeah.
What would we do? I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Well, when we were doing Rixton, we covered old R&B. It was it was black music by black artists by 4 white dudes.
Right.
Not knowing it at the time, obviously, but like we did an Elvis. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
Yeah, no, of course.
it's and then that's what got people in. So like we did like I'm going to say 2 artists here,
Yeah.
and the internet's going to go
I'm gonna turn
Chris Brown and R. Kelly. That's what we were covering back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
So those are
So those have actually been pulled offline. That was like one of the things, but we generally did take those down. And then we used to do Christmas covers,
yeah.
which was
I think
they
they mentioned an iconic video.
interesting. Which one?
The Christmas one, right?
The Merry Little Christmas.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were skits. They were just like really stupid, like SNL type DIY skits.
Okay.
That's actually, funny enough, what Scooter found. He found that before the music, which probably says a lot. Why are we still doing what we're doing? Why are we just do skips? Yeah, so it's they were fun times. But that's probably what we would do. What cover we would do now? Did we say?
Yeah. No.
No, you didn't say.
Well,
You said
you cover
Rixton,
your
but
own
that's not
songs.
really an answer.
We did We did Eternal. I want to be the only one.
Oh yeah, that was
You know, I want to
Yeah,
be the
yeah,
only
yeah,
one too.
okay.
Oh, we covered
love
that.
that.
No one really gave a shit, but we loved it.
Yeah. As long as you love it.
We
I mean,
covered Mel C and Brian Adams, "Baby
Big
When You're
tune.
Gone."
Big
I've
tune.
been wandering around.
Big tune.
Yeah.
My mum loved that one.
Don't really know now.
Nah, covers now tough.
We've been really in our own world.
Yeah, that's tough to do.
I haven't listened to music in a long time, unless it's in a certain period. Britney Spears.
Well, what are you listening to right now that
We've only-
has you truly
yeah.
inspired? That being said,
I love Flume, mate.
Flume.
Big
Flume.
Flume fan.
Flume's great.
Listen to a lot of that.
Are they still touring?
Yeah, dude, he's been nonstop. It's kind of crazy. The first time I saw him was this. It was at the airliner at this thing called Low End Theory, which was a really popular, like, just
LA
banging
institution.
LA club that was started by
Big
Gas
Daddy
Time Killer and
No, it was Big Daddy Kev.
Gas Time Killer and like
He was the
Milo.
no. Big Daddy Killer was the guy who started it, and then Gaslamp and those guys were residents DJs.
Yeah. But it was like a really cool thing where all these like huge producers who weren't big at the time, you know, I saw Hudson Mohawk play there.
Wow.
Flume's first show was there. Bjork did a DJ set. Odd Future's first show. Odd Future's first show was at this spot, and it was just so cool. It was a spot kind of like this where it was like a DIY space that not a lot of people really use as an actual venue.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a DIY space; it was a bar.
But it had like 18-year-old kids going.
Yeah, but it was a bar. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not quite DIY like the same way we
Yeah.
do things here, because there was an actual venue, upstairs and out.
But it wasn't like it was only used for that.
But you can go there. You could have gone there not on a Wednesday and go grab a drink. Like, it was
Well, I
just
know,
a
but
bar.
it's so crazy to think that was like acceptable and like, well, that's something that we bring
There
to.
are still places like that though. I think there was like
Are there?
there was a place down in it was funny because my friend was like we were catching up the other day. There's a place down in Orange County called the Circle, I think, or something like that, and they have all these like shows there, and they're 18 plus.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. It's weird.
Well, that's why I mentioned DIY because like you can't get away with that kind of stuff like now at like a
Yeah, you
spot
can.
like that. At a spot like that, an 18 place.
Yeah.
I feel like if I named artists,
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Sorry. Back
I
to
mean,
the-
for instance, like Huron John, like huge,
Yeah.
like I'm obsessed. If I named artists, I feel like you'd be like, oh yeah, that's my buddy so and so, and they just walk out the door.
well, we could honestly. I could text John right now.
Wait, what's the? Do you know Buddy Ross?
Yeah.
Do you know Buddy Ross?
I know of him.
Right.
I know people who work with him. He's part of the heavy duty crowd.
Right.
But he's amazing.
Yeah,
He's
he did the
so
Frank
good.
Ocean.
He did
stuff.
Wet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That project was really cool. He's amazing. A really talented pianist.
I don't know him.
He's sick. I will.
Gabriel
to you.
Sayer.
Yeah. That's
Jeff apparently knows everybody.
so Gabriel Sayer. He's the one. Is that Gabriel Gunderdeck's character?
Yeah. That's
Oh,
so
man.
weird how you know that. I'm like the biggest
here,
fan.
hold on. I got something.
Oh no.
I got something.
I'm like the biggest fan of his new stuff. And he's just totally
Are you
disappeared
pulling his
offline,
record?
which makes me
Okay.
love him even more. Oh yeah, the Wii thing. This was his project.
This was his project.
No way.
We Sports Music.
God.
And it's really unfortunate when I got this record, all the allegations came out
Oh no. what
about
happened?
him, and he is.
Was there allegations?
Oh yeah.
Has it been cancelled?
He's been done.
What has he done now?
He's been done. It's so sad because I got the record and I was like so hyped and I like, played it, and then while I was playing it, someone reached out being like, "Oh yo, you know this just happened?" And I was like,
I wondered why he stopped replying to my DMs.
"Yeah." So, he I
Damn it, man.
you know
What did he do?
I don't want to you know it's like not worth the time.
I'm gonna Google it.
But you can Google it, but
We
like,
have-
I don't, you know, it's like one of those like, you know, Jesus Christ, dude.
We do have another question that came in. What's your favorite crop parasite? If you're-
Crop parasite.
Yeah.
Does anyone know any?
I have no idea. No.
Can you look it up?
Locust, I guess.
Locust?
Sure.
Someone wrote,
You.
obviously the sarcoptic mange mite. So,
Nematodes.
Oh, yes, sure.
What was the question?
what's your favorite crop parasite?
Cropped parasite. I mean, we're all parasites.
We are.
Cropped.
We
Wait, we're parasite. Crop. I don't really know. I know what parasite is, but they've lost me at cropped.
No, crop parasite, like, so something that, like, fucks with.
Fucks with crops.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said cropped.
No.
Oh, a crop parasite.
Yeah, that's why I said
Locusts. You said
Or
someone
nematodes.
Nematodes?
Yeah.
What the hell's a nematode?
So I don't know if they're a crop parasite, but they for every one human on Earth, you know how as humans we like to think we are the most successful. If we're talking about success on the Earth being the most duplicated thing, we are like, you know, the fucking pandas are becoming extinct or whatever. So they're whatever. Humans are 9 billion. For every one human,
Are we at 9
there's
billion already?
there's 80 billion nematodes.
What?
I know.
Wait, what?
It's
kind of
something
stat
like
is
that. For every one human, there's 80 billion
How big are
nematodes.
these-
Or
are
8
they-
billion. Oh, they're microscopic worms.
Oh,
Oh.
sorry about that.
Oh no, I enjoyed getting up. So I
So
Okay,
that's
I
one.
thought when you said nematodes, I thought they were like a toad, like a frog thing, and I was like, "There's how many for every one person?" That is
For every one person,
crazy.
there's lots of billions of nematodes.
Sorry. Hey, Tony, come on, be nice to Uncle
Save the
Charlie.
nematodes.
Yeah, I mean, I learn something new every day. Where are they found? Just everywhere.
Everywhere, I think.
I feel like it's like from. I read some. This must have been one of those like high school memories I had. But like, if you dig a 3 foot by 3 foot hole anywhere, like in a field, there are more insects in that space than there are humans. or something
Yeah,
like
that makes yeah, that's probably the nematodes.
Oh, the nematode.
No, it actually is. No, seriously. All right, I might Google. I've
Yeah,
googled
please,
what has
please look it up.
Gabriel Gundaker done wrong and nematodes.
Nematodes.
Gabriel Gundaker
Cancelled.
killed the nematodes. That's what he did, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Nematodes. Here we go. It's a roundworm, so it's not.
Okay.
It's a plant parasite.
It is a plant.
Yes,
Oh, you've done it.
I've done it,
Okay. I did.
and they're probably the most powerful. Why am I shouting?
You're just
Into the
really
night.
passionate.
You're just
man.
passionate about
passionate.
nematodes.
There's the artwork. Thank you.
Once again, this is Push Baby talking about
Nematodes.
Nematodes.
Here we go.
Promoting their new
Nemesis.
record.
promoting the new record.
That's gonna have to be now, Jeff. You know our humour. The next album will be called
Nematodes.
Nematode.
Oh, absolutely.
It's gonna be about that.
It's gonna be nematode core
What?
music.
Brian Eno just released a record, and one of the first lyrics in this song where he's singing now, like doing like folk stuff, is saying something like "Love all the nematodes." He says something like that, and I was just like, "My God!"
Dude, I love that old man shit. Honestly,
Just saying stuff.
I
like-
saw Paul Simon play one time,
Mm.
and that man has 3 songs about how his dog went to the war.
Wow.
When he performs it live, and there's like photos of his dog
Oh,
in the
wow.
war.
In the war.
Exactly.
so
It's
cool.
dude, it's
We're very Simon and Garfunkel at the moment, aren't we?
Yes.
For the new stuff that we're working on is definitely heading towards more of that singer-songwriting
cool.
fashion, bringing it back to taking it away from nematodes back to music. I'll come back to the fact.
Yeah, I'm so
Wait, hold on, wait.
I'm so curious on what the next record is sounding like. Obviously, you guys have been kind of warming up to that, like
Yeah, we're thinking about it. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
There's definitely something in taking I've always loved the idea of as soon as like when you feel like you've got something, it totally does something else. And I think a lot of people obviously say that, but all my favourite shows do that. I was talking before about Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Suddenly becomes a horror film, and then all of a sudden it's rom-com spoof, and
Right.
and I just love the idea of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think once you do something one time, you're being creative artists yourselves. You guys want to move on to something new that can help stimulate those creative juices or whatever. I mean, and some bands are or some artists want to just stick in their lane,
Oh
and
my
that's
God.
totally
Yeah.
fine.
Wish it
too.
could.
Yeah.
Really wish it could.
Yeah, but it takes a huge leap of faith every time you start a new record. I mean, I'm assuming if every record's gonna sound completely,
Yeah.
or if you're gonna draw inspiration from different themes or songs, whatever. I mean, a lot has to go into that.
Cool. And we're also like incredibly new artists.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wouldn't have classed myself as an artist anywhere near it when I was doing Rixton personally. Like, surely the whole role of the artist is to create stuff and, you know, put stuff out or whatever. But
Right. But I mean, you
that's
were,
our definition of artist.
right.
It's
you were
again,
channeling something
existential.
for other people, though, 'cause
Yeah.
they believed in your
Yeah, Fedora. Yeah.
Fedora.
Yeah.
So we feel very new still and still trying to figure out who we are, I think, anyway. So that's taken in so
Yeah.
many different directions.
Well, there's
and
like
it's
two. There's like
exciting.
there's that thing of like there's two journeys, like your artistic life and your real life, and I feel like it starts getting fun when they start meeting.
Yeah, or it could be a giant fucking headache.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or you create characters from the early 2000s and go, I'm leaving that there.
Yeah.
Every time I think about you, babe.
Dance routine.
Yeah, full dance. Keep dancing, Charlie. Don't go to the dark stuff. Yeah, sorry.
Just so northern.
Oh no, sorry.
Cool.
Sick. Yeah, I'm curious. So it's What that being said, like the genre next, you said it was more Simon Garfunkel type.
Singer song.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of it has been done remotely on acoustic guitar, and I just love the major seventh stuff and where it goes and how it feels, and I'm in love myself at the moment, so it's all very romantic and it's all very. We had the most amazing. I mean, we had the thing that's interesting. We actually had two completely different summers, and I'm excited to see where they kind of cross over.
What do you mean by
Yeah,
completely
we've just-
different summers?
Well, Charlie's you've just been raging the whole summer,
It's the
and
first time I've been single for a long time.
for a long time.
hell.
And I
this
don't
year
mean
it's
that.
been
going,
like, just been so open and free to life, and it's been amazing, mate. Yeah. it's
Yeah,
been
and I
good
mean
fun.
that as like an observation, like not an evaluation. Like, well, he's been partying. I mean, like it's been so amazing to see for Charlie to just be like
Yeah.
discovering stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I've gone into the role of being single for 6 years
Mm-hmm.
and now suddenly being in a relationship, and just it's mad how when you let it affects what you're creating.
Yeah, because it affected the music we listen to all completely
Your taste,
different.
everything.
I'm listening to like drum and bass.
Hell
And
yeah.
I'm on Brian Eno like
This is what I'm saying.
calm down,
This is what I'm
still the
saying.
mind.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So it's going to be nice to see where that goes when we
Yeah,
start.
that
like,
combination. I mean, it sounds like it's gonna be fun back and
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
What was it? It's like Pingu, and then there's.
Yeah, exactly.
Gonna mention those UK references.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
Um,
So yeah, it's exciting me.
It's still very. I mean, that's very early days.
Yeah.
You're always kind of. We're just training our brains to not think about that and just be
Mhm.
on this sofa here.
Well, you guys should just drop like a Brian Eno drum and bass record.
Yeah,
I think that'd be really
sounds-
fun.
Sounds really great.
yeah, that sounds
Sounds
honestly.
like something
Thank
I
you.
would, strive to do.
No, that's something I definitely would love. I would love to hear that. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear what that sounds like. I always think it's so crazy when certain artists mix certain things. Like there's one track that I heard, it was like a demo where this girl it was like a Mitski track, but the bridge, she uses an ATL Future horn. But at the same time, it's still indie,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not so much pop. It's not forced or anything. And it's like, if I tell people this all the time, and they're just like, what the fuck does that sound like? Like, how would you make that work? That being said, like, I would love to hear like this like cross genres
Yeah.
of like falling in love, being the lovey-dovey, but at the same time also being
Raging
Raging
till 5
free.
a.m.
yeah.
I think it'll definitely have some sort of like drip feeding of both, which is
yeah.
always what we try and
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, actually, our process is I'll write it, and then I'll send it over to Charlie, and then he'll kind of like take bits and sample it and put it over the top, and like just kind of like here's the song, totally dismantle it and destroy it. And
Mm-hmm.
let's deconstruct to rebuild it again. Or
Yeah.
yeah, it's.
Do you know that? Do you know the band Polyphia?
Yeah, mate.
They're like a
They're
guitar. I mean,
insane.
they're like insane musicians.
Yeah.
Right.
So they recently did a track with Steve Vai called Ego Death, and I remember I was reading somewhere where like when Steve Vai sends you his bit, like you just kind of don't touch it
Yeah.
because it's
Steve
Steve
Vai.
fucking Vai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what Tim Henson did, and he's kind of like the ringleader for the band. Apparently, what they did was they took it and they just like completely chopped it up in post, and they totally distorted his thing to make it sound somewhat new. I think initially he was pretty pissed that they had fucked with his solo quite like that, but then he realized like this is just kind of what like this is something new and they're trying something new, and ultimately he like gave his okay with like releasing that version of the song.
So cool.
But I think that is something interesting that people are willing to take a lot more risk these days, you know, because you're not reliant on the major label or your label to be like,
Mhm.
you can't put this out anymore. You're like, fuck it, I'll just
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
I'll just do it myself,
Yeah.
throw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
Tim,
I'm
oh,
so no
we
go.
have a question from the comments.
Oh.
If you guys want to maybe listen to a minute or 30 seconds of the new album when it
Are
comes
we
out.
allowed to stream music through this? I don't know if we.
Well,
can do
if
that.
it's bought through Amazon,
if it's bought
I-
through Amazon.
if it's through Amazon, apparently yes.
I don't know how that goes. We're gonna. Try.
Well, let's honestly
You
talk.
can talk about the track.
Well, let's talk about the track. What
Okay,
honestly, you guys put out a record today. You know, obviously, like
Which does drop in 15 minutes.
15 minutes,
14.
people.
14 minutes.
Freaking pre-save. Put it on your playlist.
Pre-save it.
Pre-save it right now.
Yeah.
Lizzie Sasbo, this one's for you. Or John or Stein or whoever the God, whoever. Sorry, my dog is just wanting to play. Come here, bud.
Come on,
He
mate.
wants attention.
What is your favorite track off the record?
Man, tough. Mine's I got a couple, I guess. Mine's one called "Rolling on My Own,"
Yeah.
and it's just got. We spoke about it earlier, but it's got like a very sort of busted McFly, old Weezer type feel about it that we again used to listen to, and it's just really fun and it's really great to play. And yeah, Jake wrote it. It's about rolling on MDMA, I think, on your own in a bad relationship, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But no, it's got a really nice feel to it for me. Like it brings that old Weezer sound back that I'm obsessed with.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sure. I think mine's changes. We've lived for this album for months now.
Yeah.
How long have you been sitting on this album for?
A year, I think.
One full year.
Yeah.
I remember when
more
you
or
guys
less.
first sent it to me.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Yeah.
a year ago on
It was
SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So crazy.
I mean, we actually did it. We recorded it for 30 days in my mum's garage, with CCTV cameras all set up, so people were watching in real time, like the record being made.
So this was
That's
like
my thumb.
It was Big Brother.
Big Brother vibes,
Big
yeah.
Brother
But that
But with your
honestly
mum?
was so, well, with my mum,
But with your
who,
mum.
funny enough, won Big Brother, but that's another thing.
Wait, what?
She won Big Brother.
Yeah, she won it.
Wait,
She
Yeah,
won
yeah,
Big
yeah,
Brother.
yeah.
Wait,
How funny is that?
when?
Yeah, she won there's like a celebrity version. My mum's my Big Brother. No, my mum's a celebrity back home,
Oh,
so she won the show.
wow.
And she beat Jedward. Do you know Jedward?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I saw the.
What?
Just the dog's eating the hat. I love it.
Oh, really?
I saw the news.
Yeah.
I saw the news recently. What was the article? Can
Oh,
you-
about I'm a
Yes.
failure. That one.
Yeah, that's so
The one
funny.
that wrote- It's like a TMZ, like a UK TMZ. Who like famous is like famous mother with famous kid moves back to garage, and it's like his face with like his mom's face. Right there.
So, my dad invited me. So my mum and dad back home, because no one from the UK is up and watching this, but my mum and dad back home are famous. But when they're just like whatever, like just famous, weird, just fucking weird, isn't it? And my dad was like, oh, come to this horror night thing. So I was like, oh, cool. Went down, didn't realise it was like a carpeted, like actual event. And some guy just like comes over to me with like shining his torch in my face and just says, oh, Jake from Brixton. He started singing like, oh, I need a little love in my life, like filming that straight away. I'm just like, is this the walk? Is this the horror walk? This is like, what's going
This is
on?
my personal hell.
But I will say, like, he was like super lovely, and that was his job. Like, it wasn't whatever. And then he just said, what are you up to now? And I just said, oh, I'm on universal credit, which is where like the government pay for like benefits, which I am. And I was like, yeah, and then I moved back in with my mum, in the garage, which is semi-true. It's where we definitely go to work and where we did a lot of things. And I was just like, yeah, basically I'm a failure. In context to him going around talking to these celebrities that are promoting their own thing, I was just like I could have easily gone, oh yeah, check out Push Baby, but I was just like, oh, I'm just claiming money off the government and I'm a failure, basically. This fucking thing just like went. And I like just didn't like, we were like, I mean, should we react? Like, what should we? And it's just like old pictures of me and like saying like failure, like washed up pop star found in mum's garage. Like, it's all these like mad things.
Dude, I was cracking up when I saw that.
Yeah.
I was laughing
Funny, like,
so hard.
it's weird.
We do have a secret guest who's about to walk in.
Here, John, you can sit here.
John, Huron John.
Here on John.
is walking in. We were just chatting about. Come in. We were just chatting about new artists that Push Baby absolutely loves, and you were one of them. How's it going, my guy?
Doing good, chilling.
This feels
Another
like
night.
a meet and greet.
I know.
Yeah, it feels weird. Like, yeah.
Another evening here.
Another evening
With the
here.
London boys.
With the London lads.
With the blokes.
With the lads.
The blokes and
boys.
Antonio Banderas, who's this tiny little dog that's
Another lad.
also a lad.
He's more lads than anyone here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were just chatting about him being on like the UK TMZ recently for being
UK TMZ.
It's like a
For him, yeah.
Yeah.
It was it.
Why?
Um,
Like, what happened?
Cancelled.
I missed it.
Well,
No,
you just,
Yeah. Do you have Google? No. It's It's just a long story basically where I just said made a joke about being a failure, which I'm by the way like wasn't a joke. I was like I'm just gonna say the truth like.
You were feeling down on yourself that day.
But not even that. Like I felt amazing. It was just like I'm just saying what I think. I'm saying what I think you're thinking.
Yeah.
Like I I've just moved back in with my mum and
Yeah.
I'm on universal credit and whatever. So basically, I'm a failure. And then it just kind of went from there. Of just like washed up pop star failure, living with mum in garage. And, like
Shit, man.
yeah, kisses his mum and no, it's not that.
You kissed your
But I do though. I do kiss my mum.
You kiss your mum?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
kissed,
he kisses
you
my mum.
kissed
Yeah.
your mum.
Genuinely, by the way, yeah.
This looks great.
Would I be welcome to kiss your mom?
Yeah, she'd love that.
All right, cool.
And she's used to them.
Honestly, I'm looking forward to that the most, obviously.
Do you like mums?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate all women.
Yeah, well, there we go then.
All
Yeah,
women
yeah,
and all
yeah.
men. I appreciate moms. I appreciate dads. I appreciate my little guy over here, Tony, John,
The young people.
Tim.
You've been working on
Who else,
music.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't want to ask any probing questions.
Ask what you gotta ask, man.
How?
Wait, but I need to clarify though. This thing that happened when you said it's the UK TMZ,
Yeah.
it's not actually TMZ though.
No.
It's like the equivalent.
Sure.
It's sure like if you have like a very
That's what I wanted to know.
expensive wine, this is like a Chardonnay. It's like the
Got it.
difference between TMZ feels like classy and this like
Wait,
not, even though
really?
like well I mean no not really like TMZ's like professional
like
innit? Like-
professional, like
Yeah.
celebrity hunters or whatever you
This
want to
is much more like tabloidy.
Yes. Yeah.
TMZ is pretty tabloid.
Tab-
No, that's the definition of it. Honestly, it's funny. I was rewatching Andy Sandberg's
Celebrity
Pop Star.
hunters, sorry.
Oh yeah,
Have you
yeah.
seen that?
Yeah.
Pop
that
Star?
rings a- That
No,
rings a
no.
bell.
It's It's literally Andy Samberg supposed to be like Justin Bieber. It's like making
Oh,
fun of
yes,
It's
I
like
have
it's like a
seen it, yeah.
mockumentary thing, in which the TMZ is like Will Arnett, Chelsea Peretti and Eric Andre.
Yeah.
In which like they first start off just like scream laughing at everything, just be like just pointing out like small random like non-controversial facts and being like, oh, this is lame, isn't he a
That's so-
dork? And they're just laughing at each other, and the next thing they all have like giant straws.
That's so. You need to watch it.
Yes. You've seen it?
Yeah,
So yeah, it sounds great. What channel is it on?
it was a movie. It was a movie.
Oh, movie.
It was a movie with Andy Samberg. But yeah, it's really funny. It's not as good as Walk Hard when it comes to like mockumentaries of like famous artists. Like Walk Hard. If you haven't seen that film,
No.
oh my god, dude.
If there was
Did
a
you say
Yes.
walk or walk?
Walk Hard. Dewey Cox is Walk Hard.
Say it, John.
I thought it was I brought
Got
a
to
wok
say
to
this.
Poland, but I thought it was what you make stir fries in.
Oh, walk.
We
Hey,
thought
walk.
walk.
Yeah.
Walk. No,
Yeah.
walk.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I didn't know. Anyway.
Walk to Portland. Is that the Little Yachty
Yeah,
song?
Right, so,
yeah.
It's walk.
I took a. He does say wok, which
Yeah.
is like.
We
Is
didn't
it
know it
lean?
meant-
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is it lean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
so
I thought he
funny.
meant like a thing.
Yeah,
so I was like,
yeah.
oh man, the video's got to be him like stir frying through
Oh
the
my
streets
God,
of
that's
Poland.
actually hilarious.
And then we were like, that'll go viral. And then we're like, we're making an album, just chill.
Yeah, that's funny.
Speaking of Little Yachty, how are you preparing for the economic crash that's about to happen?
Whoa.
Is it?
Yeah, every time he releases music, it crashes.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
fun
shit.
fact. So
Oh, bloody
that
hell.
being
I'm gonna have
said,
to
what are
take
you
a-
guys doing to prepare yourself for the
Getting
economic
ready to
crash?
getting ready to buy the
Buy
dip,
loads
bro.
Buy the dip.
Buy the dip. You know.
Yeah.
Yes. Get loads
Get
of
rich.
NFTs, mate. And just hope.
But
NFTs? Nah, that was dead.
If you guys had like if you guys had like $10 in your bank account, how would you like help preserve it for the rest of the week when it comes to food or
Oh, I'm
like
so good at
anything in
that, mate.
general?
hmm.
How do you guys save money? Or like
Packet noodles. You have them.
pack of noodles.
The stir fry noodles. The dry ones. What are they called here?
Oh, Top Ramen.
Ramen noodles. Yeah.
Top
Get an
Ramen.
egg. Right, real ramen noodles. That's like a dinner for like £1.
Yeah.
Yeah, truly. What about John? What about yourself?
How to make $10 last a week?
Yep.
In terms of like,
Everything. It's just
Everything
like,
I need.
obviously, like you're not driving, you're walking, but like
I've got a
food and
place
all
to
that
stay.
stuff.
The
You have
shelter's
a-
covered.
You have a place to stay.
So
but you have
basically,
$10.
how do you survive? How do you satiate yourself off
Off
food?
$10.
Okay. What I would do is, I think I would get two Little Caesars $5 pizzas. Okay. I would divide each pizza into 7 slices, and then I'd get 2 meals a day. So like I'm doing all right. So then I'd have lunch.
Professional.
Yeah, I'd have lunch and dinner. 1 slice for lunch, 1 slice for dinner, and then I get my 2 meals a day, and I'm covered all 7 days. That's probably a solid 500 calories a day. I can live off that,
And just water from the tap.
and just water from the tap, $10.
Speaking like a true indie artist,
That's it's simple.
he knows exactly
It's
I'll
easy.
diet.
what to do.
It's easy.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Do you
That's what I
like
do.
social media?
No way.
No.
No way.
I love it.
I
It's
like
like
it,
it's a love-hate relationship with me.
It's a hate relationship.
It's just I love that we're informed and that we can know everything with the tip of our fingers. I love that. I love that it could bring certain communities together, but at the same time, like I feel like it's, if anything, the only thing I dislike about it is just the laziness of it all, and it's continuously getting lazier and lazier to the point where like DALL-E 2. You guys know DALL-E 2, right? So
Like
DALL-E,
the AI.
the
and
AI,
the words
AI,
and
so-
makes a picture for you.
exactly. So it's to the point where it's like, oh, this is cool in the sense where it's like I don't have to like. It's just taking, it's just one of those like sad things where it's like, oh man, this is only going to get more extreme and things are going to be way more instant. Like that's the one thing I don't love about it too much. It's just like things that shouldn't really be all that instant, or like it should take time, or it should be more appreciated, like artists, like graphic designers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I do love the fact that like, because I grew up not so popular, and like
That's a lie.
no, it's not. I
I grew up and I was such a nerd.
No,
got
I
bullied.
grew. I did
They
get.
stuffed me in
I
a
got
locker.
bullied. I got bullied quite a bit, to the point where I kind of had to lean on social media to find other avenues and realize the world is much bigger than where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And that's what I like with the Sensitive. It's like, people can relate, whatever situation they're in, whether if they like, oh, it's 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock. Your album's out.
Your album is out.
Just talking about like your childhood trauma. Our album's
No,
out. So,
dude,
yeah.
fuck my childhood
Talking
trauma.
about like, bullying.
Sorry.
No, but I like the
I'm
internet in the
joking,
sense
I'm
where
joking.
people can relate and not feel so alone.
Yeah.
But like I like it in small. As I would love to get rid of Instagram if it wasn't for work and all that stuff. I would. I fucking I hate the highlight reel, but that's like why Be Real. This new
That's
app.
my favorite app of all time.
It's so great.
We live on it.
It's
man.
amazing.
But like on some like devil's advocate shit though, like if you say that like social media it's good because it makes everyone like not feel so alone. Like I feel like everyone feels the most alone people have ever felt now because of it. You know?
Well, no, of course.
And like bullying too. Like I feel like social media has like made bullying like the highest level it's ever been. And not like the image of bullying that like our parents would have, or, but just like
oh no,
judging and
no,
and,
it was really
you know.
even with us. Like we're all 30-year-old guys. My
It's a
sister.
different type of bullying.
It was but at the same time, it was like it was different in the sense where like, as someone like my sister who's gay, she didn't feel comfortable of who she was because she didn't really know anyone else there was, and honestly, at the time everyone kind of kept it to themselves because there wasn't an outlet to be like this is okay, and that's why the internet. That's like a success of the internet being like, hey, like there's a whole other community like of you guys out there who are strong and proud and can be open. But also, yes, there's all the community where like it's funny, like it's funny but not funny to think of like for example, like people being made fun of, like futuristic being made fun of. Like I always think of like dumb scenarios, like for example, like these kids talking to each other being like, dude, I subscribe to your mom's OnlyFans. It fucking sucks. Like that shit is so like that bullying. Like it sucks, but it's also, it's just unheard of. It's
funny.
so ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
it's
funny.
funny.
It's like that's fucking funny. But no, but the sense of like community and like knowing too much and censorship for those who want to protect their kids for these these other lanes. Yes, it can be a thing, but at the same time, it's parents and like people just over communicating what is what. And as someone like who grew up like with us, like our parents didn't talk too much. Like they didn't want to have these tough discussions. I know my parents didn't.
Yeah.
So like now it's like our due diligence of like when we're parents being able to discuss everything to know. So when they do go into these things, they know what's real and what's not. So it's a good thing in the sense of it's like we're still in an adjustment period, but it's still like it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, there was this study actually around anxiety, and apparently our ancestors only saw like, let's say 5 to 30 people in the village, back in the day, over millennia, over the course of millennia. And I think what happens now is we're registering so much, we're seeing so many faces, we're taking in so much information, which is at first kind of like rattles the balance of how it's been hardwired, over the course of time.
Well,
So,
like biologically.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not natural.
like you would only probably see your whoever, you're just your local villagers, whereas now you go on whatever app and there's just thousands of people. You're recognizing all these faces, all these moments, all these, of course you can't catch your breath, of course you're struggling to be in the moment because it's all happening.
And it wasn't like meant to be that way.
No.
Like we weren't meant to like eat like McDonald's and shit like that.
No, of course.
Is that filtered vodka?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Make our music special.
That's how you keep it fresh.
Wow, that's
Wow.
According to
If you
experts.
if you didn't know, just good vodka is just filtered several times.
wow.
It makes the taste just completely go away.
It's so
It's
crazy.
kinda
We literally get the worst tasting vodka, and we filter it like twice, and it tastes like a Tito's.
Oh my god! Wow.
Yeah, hack.
Yeah, you can do a taste test, and the difference.
Wow.
Wow.
What if you
buy bad vodka, you can filter it and make it good.
Yeah, I'm just about to make Tito's file 1 bankruptcy by saying that out loud right now.
To all 14 people watching.
But shout out to
That's quite a
Britta.
lot of people.
But we do have a question
They're
here.
holding it down.
Sorry to break up. We do have a question. Would you rather,
Fucking hell.
for power,
So it's a fly, man.
everyone, invisibility or fly? Be able to fly.
Invisibility.
Who said
all
that?
day.
Who
Oh, no,
said that?
I meant-
I'll say it. Dennis.
Right. Okay.
Invisibility for me.
Who said that?
Invisibility.
I'd like to fly.
I'm with you. Wait, why are your answers? Why invisibility?
I feel like invisibility. Okay. I feel like whenever the superpower hypotheticals come along, and this is no reflection of my character. I'm a good, I would say I'm a very
I think
moral
that invisibility and not liking
person.
social media go hand
I
in
mean,
hand.
yeah. Well, okay. Listen, I've got a strong moral code. You know what I mean? It's all good. Like I'm a good man. But when the superpower hypotheticals come along, my mind always goes the quickest to how can we monetize this and commit crimes with this?
This is exactly
You know?
why
Right, and invisibility,
Yes.
like flying.
I
You know,
wanna
I
rob
guess
something.
you can maybe set up a stand on the
Right.
corner and charge people to take to you can take them on flights.
Yeah.
But whenever people say whenever the question is any superpower, no choice, but what you could pick any, what would you pick? I always say freeze time, because you could
Do anything.
go to Tesla, take a new car,
Yeah.
and just leave.
Yeah.
Where invisibility, it's kind of the same type of thing.
Yeah.
Invisibility.
I don't petty theft. That's
Yeah,
what I do.
exactly. Invisibility, you could sneak into Area 51,
Yeah.
get the alien secrets,
I agree.
and put them on Depop or
You
something.
still gotta get the ID cards, facial recognition.
Well, if I walk behind somebody who has all that shit, I'm invisible.
Ah.
Whereas the
What about-
flying, I don't know.
What if they have thermal radars though?
They probably do have that shit.
Yeah.
But then also flying, I think about, for an example, living in a city like this, and you did in a practical sense, you would never have to buy gas again,
Yeah.
or you wouldn't have to drive in. You could just fly to that shit.
Yeah. And it would be so cool.
So-
Yeah, and
you guys
You'd land and everyone's like, here he is. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Before you guys respond to this, another person asked, "Would you use it for good or evil?" And that kind
Oh,
of
it's evil,
you've
right?
already
Full
brought it
evil,
up.
bro.
You've evil, full on evil.
Full evil.
It's funny
mode.
because I feel like flying is a good thing. That's a good because
Have
if
you
you
seen
see them look at it,
Yeah.
you're not using gas.
Yeah.
You're doing all these things. It's just naturally a good superhero. But what about you?
I mean,
guys?
what could you do for good?
Or how can you
What,
fly
fly?
that's bad?
Have you seen Hancock?
Just
Looking
middle
down on
finger
everyone.
flying.
You pee on people as you're flying.
Yeah. Here he is again. No, I think if you were invisible, you're telling me even the Dalai Lama would do some weird shit. You're invisible, or you're stopping time. It would
You
just
probably
be
can
like,
already turn invisible, man. The Dalai Lama.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. The third eye comes in.
Yeah.
But Charlie, good or evil?
No, evil.
Evil. You gotta go
That's why I
evil.
wanted to be invisible, only for evil.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's more fun, right? Being evil.
And that goes back to the whole Kanye conversation.
We were talking Kanye earlier.
We were talking
I wasn't-
Kanye earlier. We were talking Kanye, which if you did not know, John is from Chicago,
I'm a Kanye enjoyer.
which of course, if you're from Chicago, you are pro Kanye for most of it.
You have to be.
But it goes
It's
back
not
to
an easy
it
life.
goes back to Kanye's point is it's so much fun to be the evil person than be the good person. It gets more attention. It does all of that stuff. That's why he's been doing what he's been doing. You know,
Look at just basic shit where it's of all the Star Wars merchandise in the world, how much of it has Luke Skywalker's face on it, and how much of it has Darth Vader's face on it.
absolutely.
You know what I
Baby
mean?
Yoda is also both.
Well, baby Yoda.
That too.
Gotta realize that being cute
Oh yeah.
is
Cute-
way strong. Cute evil though.
The totem pole is
Oh.
cute evil, then cute, then evil, then good. That's the totem pole.
Oh, like mini me.
Like mini me, yeah.
Yeah.
Cute evil.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
died.
He died.
Literally yesterday, mate.
Oh.
No, he didn't really. Sorry.
No, it was not yesterday. Sorry.
About 5
Um,
And
years.
Hagrid.
Yeah,
Rip
yeah.
Oh,
Hagrid died.
Hagrid. Oh,
and we went to Harry
Hagrid.
Potter
Was it
World
yesterday?
yesterday.
Hagrid.
We had Hagrid was there.
I heard they put like roses or like flowers in front of his like little.
Hologram. Oh, like his his hologram going
It's
through
not
it.
Star Wars.
Yeah,
It's
well, they're
actually
all
really
holograms.
depressing.
Do they have
dude.
When you fly around, they're all in. They're all hologrammed out.
He's there. He's there.
He's there. He's there.
Oh, so he's like a ghost.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I
That's
shouldn't
really
have said
sad,
that.
man.
I should not have said
that.
Hagrid.
Rest in peace, man. Wherever you are. I love you. Up
He
there.
was young too. He was only like 72.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I love that joke Pete Holmes has where it's like heaven is everywhere and people always point up,
Oh yeah.
but instead of pointing up, it's like shout out to Hagrid, just point down.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, you're killing it.
Yeah.
Pointing that way, in this way, it's one of my favorite jokes. Also, one of my favorite podcasts ever is his. Surprisingly, really good interviewer, and also all of his stuff lasts like 3 hours long. But at the same time, you're still like hooked up into it. More of a reason why we're doing this. This is the first time we've done a podcast situation, and shout out to Pete Holmes, who
Awesome, mate.
big influence. Also, shout out to you guys on your new record,
Thank
and
you.
Yeah.
John working on his,
Very
which
excited.
it sounds so great. But back to
Sorry.
what were we gonna say?
Just it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks,
That's it.
mate.
Yeah, dude, of course.
And do you have any of your magazines that you sold?
They're all gone, man. I'm sorry.
I think I signed up for one actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Which
they
one?
went.
The first one or the second one?
Because the first one I think.
That's a long ass time ago.
Mate, yeah, I
That
can't
was-
remember how I got on. Was it? It might have been Zane Lowe. You know, did Zane Lowe play you or? No, someone.
Maybe
I think someone from. Is it who's his name? Jeremy.
the BBC
Jeremy
guy.
Deegan.
Yeah,
Hey?
Jeremy, yeah, from Apple.
Yeah, I
who,
think he posted about it.
shout out to Jeremy,
Something.
man. That guy is. If you want to talk about people in the music business who are good people, Jeremy
Yeah.
is a goddamn sweetheart.
Yeah.
And he listens to everything. If you're an artist watching this, DM Jeremy. He's a great guy. Was the beer too strong?
Yeah, the beer was too strong. Yeah. I just took a bit of the vape.
But yeah,
And-
wait. So
Sure.
did you talk with
Fucking hell.
Jeremy Deegan?
I don't think I talked with him. I think he just like played shit.
Yeah.
Um,
But you had a newspaper or like a magazine?
yeah, like every album that I put out, I make like a book. So like the,
I knew about the book.
The first one was like a magazine. It was like 20 or so pages. But then the one like that I did last year was like 60. I have that one in my room if you want to just like look at it. But I don't have any more,
I'd
unfortunately.
love to.
I only just like made a finite amount of them, but I should have made more. But
yeah. I
yeah.
think that's also like something I forgot to brought up. We have a show here tomorrow. With Karuk, G Luna, Emmy Grace, which should be a hoot. If you want to attend the show, just send a comment and we'll add you to the list.
You boys are gonna be there, right?
We'll be there, yeah.
They're gonna be here.
What time does it start?
So I mean,
It
it's
starts
like
at 7, but
Sounds
you know.
great.
Yeah.
pop by whatever.
Yeah, sweet.
They're gonna be here if you wanna fight them. John's. Are you gonna be here?
I'm here, baby. I'll be here.
John's gonna be here.
Lay my head down and sleep
Tony,
at night.
Tim. But yeah, we should probably.
And Jack.
And Jack. Shout out to Jack who's been filming this whole thing.
Nice one, Jack.
And then the other Jack as well, who
Nice one, Jack.
unfortunately just left.
I don't know where. Probably gone to smoke a joint.
He was just like, I'm
Oh,
so tired of these guys talking about Kanye West and evil.
Have you
Um,
played here? Have
No,
you?
not yet.
Not yet.
That'll
We'll
be
get
fun.
him.
It's gonna happen.
We'll get there. I just gotta like get the material first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was supposed to do a DJ set thing here on Saturday, but just was timing all that stuff wasn't. there.
Cards weren't ready yet.
So-
But,
You have like a. What is it? You have like. I mean this in the best way. You have a tag.
you have like mental issues,
Yeah.
right?
At the beginning of your songs.
Yeah.
And this is so clever. It's so self-aware and brave, and I love it as a
Yeah.
fan. But you have like you have like your tag.
Yeah.
So like DJ Khaled has all that, everyone, but
Yeah.
you have yours,
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it.
which is so fucking cool, man. I
Thanks.
love it.
Yeah,
It
thanks,
makes
man.
such a difference.
Thank you.
So clever.
Thanks.
Can you talk to us about that and where that came from? And
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think kind of what got me into producing music was just like getting really into hip hop and stuff like that. Obviously, the music that I make isn't hip hop music most of the time, but like yeah, you know, I feel like hip hop is like the genre that created the tag. You know what I mean? It's like you know, there's like the Lil Wayne, like the Lighter Flick.
Yeah.
You know, there's like all the producers. You know, lots of producers, hip hop producers have their tags and stuff like that, and I'm sure like a lot of other artists outside of hip hop artists, you know, have tags or
Yeah,
something. I can't
yeah,
think
of
of any examples off the top of my head, but like, you know, it's got to be out there. But yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of thinking like it would be really interesting to sort of take that concept of like the tag and put it into a genre that it's not from, or just, you know, even like, I don't know. I always love like if I work on a project, I always love taking like 1 to 2 really small clips of audio and then kind of using that clip of audio in like every song. So then when you look back in the past,
Cool.
if you have a listener who's like discovering the back
Wow.
catalog or whatever, and they discover shit out of order, it's like, oh yeah, there's that little sound effect, like this was the second album or whatever.
wow,
But kind of that sort of thing. To just kind of put a little like stamp.
That's
on
like
shit.
archiving your own work.
Yeah, kind of. Where it's, yeah, if you had like the
That's
playlist and you hear
incredible,
one song, it's like that shit, you're like, oh yeah, okay,
That's
I know when
That's
that's
incredible
from,
foresight. That's
Um,
like
you know.
yeah, projecting that.
And it's like a
as well.
fun little thing to do, just like with theming and shit, because you could just get really like, you know, you can make like your tag or whatever, just like some dumb shit, or it could be used to enforce like a concept or something, you know.
That's so cool.
Let's
But
do
yeah,
ours now.
that's cool that you noticed that.
Let's do ours now.
Yeah, what would yours be right now?
Yeah.
Push me, baby.
Like an air horn.
wait, sorry. Can you do that again?
No, I can't.
Wait, Charlie, can you do that again?
Push, baby.
It's got to be like some really British shit. Like
Oh
really
yeah,
British.
that's right. Push,
Fucking
push,
push,
push, baby, push, baby. Wait, we do it on the album.
Yes.
Yeah, we do actually
Yeah.
do it on the album. Don't know what I'm saying. It's actually on
The
the,
first
album.
song.
Yeah. The first song.
Speaking of which, we have 2 more questions. Oh, they're talking about. Someone mentioned Pharrell has the best intro tag, which I agree.
Maybach music. No, I'm joking.
What is Pharrell's?
Pharrell, it's like he like takes the first beat of the song and then loops it 4 times.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That shit's even cooler because it's not like a tag. It's just like a thing that he
Oh, yeah.
does, but it's like a musical tag. you know?
Yeah.
That's
The
like-
Chris Perkins asks, "What song on the album was the hardest to create?"
Probably a song called Rolling on My Own took a while to get the drums right. We wanted it to sound, you know, really high fidelity or whatever. But
How'd
just,
you get in that headspace
what do you mean? The
of rolling on your own?
oh, actually, yeah, I don't know. It a lot of the time it starts out by just like saying phonetics, and then like, oh, this means this and that must mean that and whatever. Or sometimes it means, I don't know if it's the same for you, but sometimes it's kind of like, okay, this doesn't mean anything, but it feels like it means everything.
Yeah.
So I don't want to jeopardize that for the sake of trying to make it make sense to someone else.
Well, and sometimes like even I feel like you guys would probably do it too. Like sometimes you get something and it means nothing, but then you're like almost wanting it to mean nothing, and then the meaning comes later. You know? Where
absolutely.
You're and then you try to like take credit for like it was like an accident.
Yeah,
And you're
yeah.
like, that's what that actually means.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
really
yeah.
it was just like bullshit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then 2 months later you're like, this is the meaning of this for sure.
Of everything.
That happens like all the time.
Yeah.
It's really funny because what you just said describes how Molly is as a drug.
Interesting.
Where it's like you feel everything but also nothing at the same time.
Not that any of us have taken it.
Yeah, none of us taken Molly.
The stories I've read about it, they all
It's
say
like,
that.
you know, obviously, like I read all of Rick Rubin's books, and that's the only kind of version of Molly that I know about.
Yeah.
It's a great drug. It's a fun drug for sure. But it's like we don't, you know, once is enough for that thing. Get your serotonin levels back up. Were we meant to be saying we weren't doing it? No, what's going on? No, I'm joking. Yeah.
Don't do drugs, kids,
Yeah.
friends. We got another question. Favorite soul artists.
Soul artist.
Soul artists.
Oh wait.
Whoa. Soul artist. Dude, Syl Johnson, Gladys Knight.
Oh, Gladys Knight. That's a great one. And this will be the last question we'll have of the night. Thank you so much for everyone who's commenting. It means so much. Please subscribe. We're gonna have a lot more. We're gonna have more artists and honestly have a better format of what this is.
We are,
Down
so
live.
we're just your guinea pigs. That's all we are. We'll go back in the cages after this in the background.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. It's great fun.
Wyndham Fly was it?
Yeah.
Roy Ayers.
Great. Roy Ayers. What about?
Should have been my first answer.
Oh man.
Hold on. Alright.
Luther Vandross.
Great.
Respect.
Well done, mate.
I would say many. The Drifters.
Driftwoods.
The Driftwoods.
This is what you should have done. You should have said, "Hey, listener, thank you for your question. The album we just released
Oh,
is
yeah,
all soul music."
It's all so I
and
know.
just blatantly lie to them. You know?
Yeah,
Just really go
get
listen
them
to
in.
it, and they'll be like, "This
We-
isn't soul."
We
but
have
get
two
them in.
last
At least you get-
questions.
yeah,
which these are the last two questions. How's transition from 4 to 2?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other question is, do any of your songs' meanings ever change after you release them?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, that's what we were kind of just talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Yeah, they definitely do. They definitely change for sure. Especially sometimes when you do it live, you get a whole different perspective on it.
Or if like a listener says like, "Oh yeah, like that concept was, how'd you come up with that?" And you were like, "You just came up with it."
Yeah,
Like,
thank you. Yeah, I've been
yeah.
trying to put
Yeah.
meaning to it. And then how we became a 4 to a 2, because we were originally a 4-piece in our old band. Just to give
Oh,
you,
I thought that was like
context.
a song title.
No, yeah. Well, you just put meaning to it.
I
No.
thought that was a UK version of 9 to 5.
Yeah. Just
4
so
to
back-
2.
4 to 2.
It would
That
explain
would be
a
some
lot.
UK
It would explain a lot.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
It would explain why. Yeah. Why? So, how was? Did you say how was the transition?
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
transition.
Great, fun process. Easy.
Cool.
Very easy. The right thing to do, and everyone's happy, and everyone wins, and yeah. I mean, it's tough. Like, it was like a breakup, but you don't
Yeah.
realise how good breakups are until you kind of come out the other side and like, that was the best thing to do.
I always look at breakups as a positive thing.
Exactly.
That's why I
Yeah.
have good relationships with people who I've dated in the past, because it's like it's a mutual thing. It's like, hey, like, we are not meant for each other. I want what's best for you. You want what's best for me. Like, that's the attitude it should be, rather than kind of these grudging looks. So
Yeah.
like, when people break up, it honestly shouldn't be a bad thing, but I understand why people react to
Yeah.
that action.
Yeah, I think you did handle it really well when you and I split. You know,
Yes.
you're
Honestly.
very gracious about it.
And now you're in
I was
separate
honestly
rooms,
like, I was. Trust me, I am bummed.
Yeah. Well,
I am beyond bummed.
there's other
John.
fish in the sea, man. You know.
Absolutely. But with the song changing, what song of yours? You know, this is the last question for me. What's a song that has changed its meaning over time for you guys?
Me and My Broken Heart by Rixton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think we used to hate it and despise it because we didn't write it and we had nothing to do with it, and someone somewhere is getting millions. And now you just fucking embrace it and you're just like, this is sick. It's a good pop song. Fuck it. Give the people what they want.
What does that feel like? Or like, can you elaborate on that?
You get your ego totally dismantled.
Or no, not maybe not like I should have like articulated like what is the process like of having a track that is maybe predominantly written by someone else, and then the process of like how do you like take take ownership of it almost, and because
Mhm.
I'm sure you performed it.
Yeah, of course. So it's from our old. It was from our old band.
Right. What's that kind of like? How does that fit into like the story of your identity now? You know what I mean?
Because it's funny.
Yeah.
We've come out the other side and it feels fucking hilarious. Like, of just like unbelievable. Like, can you believe we were this young and this happened?
It's a
and
piece of the story. You know?
of course, and like reclaiming it. Like, for instance, if we're talking about like major pop artists, like Harry Styles being the first one to cover a One Direction song at his own show, it's like genius. Because it's like
Really? He like was that like a big deal?
he did like What Makes You Beautiful and did like a little a medley of some sort. And I thought to be able to like reclaim that and be like, yes, this was me.
Oh, I love that.
That's what I mean. Like, it's not this is us now. This was us then, and that meant something to you. So who am I to be like, no, I'm not fucking doing that.
No,
'Cause
you
at the
gotta
end of the
accept
day-
all of it. You know?
Exactly.
Like whenever you see like, and maybe I hope you guys haven't done this because then it's gonna make me sound like a jackass.
No.
But like, you ever see like an artist where they're gonna release something new
Mhm.
and then they delete, and they don't delete, but they like archive every single thing they have, like on
Yeah,
Instagram or something.
yeah,
It's all blank.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, bro, just leave everything up.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
it's all
of
part of
course.
the content. And like, if you do that, there's nothing wrong with it. But
Yeah.
I always feel like you should leave it all up because it's like
a
part of the
journey.
story. It's like, because I love going to an artist page and you scroll all the way and you get like 5 years back, and then you see the post where it's them announcing their EP from like 6 years ago,
Yeah.
and how different they talked, and how the promo pictures were worse quality, and
Yeah, of
how everything
course.
was less thought out, and
Yeah,
whatever,
that's amazing.
you know?
I sometimes feel though, like with your Instagram, it feels like your gallery,
Mm.
and I sometimes feel like going to galleries to see certain exhibitions
Mm.
rather than like pulling everything down. It's
Keep
like
it cohesive.
it's nice to be like, I don't know, keep that thing. We've definitely. No, we legally had to do it. Like, we legally had to do it. Like,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
a big.
that was it,
Yeah, we legally had to be like, you own that. We're gonna set this up.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Totally
That's
agree.
really cool though, that process of kind of like reclaiming something where maybe you kind of weren't the most keen on,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. It was more just being scared of looking like an idiot, or looking like you don't get it, or looking like uncool. But I think the one thing that we definitely favour now is just being, at least trying to be as authentic and real as possible, and not denying that evolution.
Yeah.
It's I think it's kind of cool that we play a song that did well when we were 20 years old.
No,
You know
that's
what I mean?
great.
It's like-
I mean,
Yeah.
I love that. Especially when you see an artist live and they play songs if they were part of another act or
Yeah.
something. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, and we've definitely thought about like mixing it up in the future, haven't we? Like doing what Push Baby would do to that song now. But yeah, that was definitely a process for sure. Sure.
And that's like a unique situation too,
Yeah.
because usually like people's old music and stuff, like I had a project before the one that I have now, and it's just like it's completely unknown. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's like I wouldn't even really have any interest of playing any of that stuff live, just because like no one really knows it.
Yeah.
So that's like honestly a cool situation to be in,
Mhm.
where it's like you have a track that like a lot of people do care about. You know what I mean? And if you recontextualize it or did whatever, that's cool. It's giving you like another opportunity to be creative.
Yeah.
Because you already have that confirmation
Of
bias.
course. Yeah, and I definitely felt like at some point I was 24, 25 years old, and we kind of did a few shows as Push Baby as a 4-piece, and I started noticing people coming to buy tickets out of like nostalgia purposes, and I'm like, I'm 25, I'm not on like a reunion tour here.
Yeah.
Like,
Like nostalgia.
and
What do you mean?
That's what I mean. Like, oh, it's been however many years since this came out. And I feel like we had to do something completely different to kind of go against that way.
Yeah.
And ironically, we've ended up creating like the best radio record that Charlie Puth would be proud of. Like here's your chorus, here's your verse, and you're out.
Yeah.
As a way of kind of being like, fuck you, there's a pop record.
Yeah.
And we kind of came from that place.
It's so funny that you mentioned Charlie Puth because his love-hate relationship with Benny Blanco.
Yeah,
Like that's all Benny Blanco posts about on TikTok is how much he thinks
So
Charlie
funny.
Puth. Which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
I don't know if it's like a radio it's a label play on like trying to help.
I think it might be that.
I honestly it feels pretty forced, Benny Blanco. Feels like you might like him.
They
But
work out the same studio, I think.
they do.
Well, I know they're good friends.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure they are.
Yeah.
But you know, but
We're
once
all good
again,
friends.
We're all good friends.
that's all it is. It's just part of the system. But once again, thank you so much,
Thank you very much. I totally
Jake
forgot.
and Charlie
Exactly.
and
Yeah,
John,
thank you so
for
much,
being
man.
part of this. It's been so fun to talk about these things, and also just so great to have you here.
Thank you.
We've been
Yeah,
chatting for such
yeah.
a long time, and it's just so cool. It's so cool to actually be IRL friends and all that stuff. So thank you guys so much. John, thank you so much for jumping on
Yes, thank
last
you.
second.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thank you.
And thank everyone for watching. If you want to continue watching our next podcast or whatever, this is Make Out Music. Subscribe. If you need, honestly, congrats on the new record.
Thank you.
Listen to the new record, which
Thank you.
once again, title, all that stuff, like highlights, title and favorite song right now.
I'm a failure.
Online.
What's that?
Where can they find you online?
Everywhere. It's called Wow. That's what I call Push Baby, Disc 2. There's no Disc 1. It got lost, so this is Disc 2.
This too.
And always in those compilation albums, Disc 2 was always the
Was the
ones
better
that
one, wasn't
didn't
it?
go on to be hits, but they were in the top 5.
Yes.
So this feels like the top 5 of the hits of the 2000s. And that's it. We leave LA on Sunday. Going back home, shows in London, wherever. I don't know. Have a good life. See you soon.
Yeah, if you guys want to hang out with them in person, we will tell you that they're going to be at our show tomorrow.
Yep.
Here. If you want to ask some more questions in person, give them a high five, maybe a photo. They've never had a weird fan incident.
No.
We're gonna charge meet and
We're
greet.
going to make that happen.
We're gonna charge meet and
Yeah,
greet.
come on, we'll do
Judge
that.
meet and greet.
Yeah.
Charlie, is there anything you want to say before you head off? Thank you so
Thank
much.
you all so much. I've had a lovely
Push
time.
baby.
Push
Push baby.
Push baby, push baby. And John, what
Thanks,
are you have a record coming out next year? People should be really hyped about. It's sounding really good from what I've heard, and anything that you want to kind of put out there to the world, go for it.
Not at this time, honestly.
Just
I
besides that you have a
yeah.
new record.
Yeah, you know, we've got that,
Yeah.
and
Cool.
yeah, you'll hear it when you hear it. You know.
You'll hear it when you hear it. You heard it from
do not talk about my project right now.
you heard it from the source. You'll hear it from you hear it.
Yeah.
Push Babies. Wow, that's big.
Yeah,
hits
it's more about
too.
them, man. They got their
No,
fucking
it's
shit
not.
that came out.
You'll hear it when you hear it.
You'll hear it when you're.
Which is now, actually.
I'm
Which
Jeff
is now.
Bywater. I'm Jeff Bywater. Tim Chin, who was also in here. Thank you out to Jack Sweeney. Thank you to the other Jack. Thank you to Ben. Thank you to Antonio Banderas for making such a special appearance. And thank you for everyone watching. We'll talk to you very soon. All right. Bye.
Dun, 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 dun. Make out music. Dun, 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 dun. Lights going down. Make out music. Dun, dun, dun. Like no.
You wanna,
Yeah,
you
that's
wanna
it, yeah.
write